Okay, so we've taken a look since last class, look at two of the four macromolecules. So we looked at carbohydrates and lipids last time. Today we're going to take a look at proteins and nucleic acids. Now remember, these macromolecules, they are big molecules and they're made up of tiny pieces called atoms and monomers. And remember, these four macromolecules are organic. That means that they have carbon within them. So let's take a look at the first one, proteins. And if you see, they have carbon atoms, hydrogen atoms, oxygen atoms, and now this one is different, nitrogen atoms. We saw the nitrogen in the nitrogen cycle and how it was really important because it helps make these important macromolecules like protein, and it's in the atmosphere, but nobody can use it in that nitrogen gas form. So we need the help of special bacteria to change it into usable forms of nitrogen. Now, if we take a look here, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, if we put these atoms in this structure, okay, we will have the monomer, which is the name of it is called amino acid. So a monomer, think of it as it's like a puzzle piece, okay? You put a bunch of these monomers and their name is amino acid, put them all together and you make one big molecule called a protein. Now, if you see here, we have carbons, we have hydrogens, we have oxygens and nitrogens that make up this amino acid. And here we have an R, which is not an atom. What it is there we have 20 different amino acids, and the R group, whatever is going to be here, is a combination of these different atoms. And depending on that combination of atoms, it makes a difference of how one amino acid looks like versus another. So all amino acids have this yellow part, this blue part, and this green part. But what makes one amino acid different from the other is the combination of atoms that would be added here. So like I said, this is like a puzzle piece compared to a whole puzzle picture. Okay, it's a one amino acid, but if we put one amino acid with another, and another, and we just combine and link them up, okay, we make one big molecule called a protein. Now, why do we need proteins? We're going to take a look at that. But before we do, take a look at this question. What makes protein an organic molecule? Now, the reason why it's organic, and we said it from before, is because it has carbon. Anything that has carbon is considered organic. And we saw just before that protein has carbon atoms. So let's take a look at why we need proteins. Proteins do so much for our bodies. One thing that they do is enzymes are examples of proteins. And normally we have these chemical reactions happening in our bodies to help us function. So for instance, a chemical reaction might be, let's say, digesting the food that we just ate. We have enzymes that can speed up that process so it can happen quickly and it doesn't take days and days and days for us to digest the breakfast that we had this morning. All right. It's kind of like enzymes are proteins that are kind of like when you go to a grocery store and you're in line and you're paying for your groceries. You at the end you might have to pack up your groceries yourself, right? And that might take some time. But some places they might have like a helper, somebody who is going to bag your groceries with you. So the enzymes are like that person, they're helping to kind of speed up the process. Other things that proteins do for us is they form organelles. Remember, organelles are those structures inside of cells. They also help to move things in and out of the cell. So the cell might need things or might need to get rid of things or might need to pass along things to another cell, and proteins help with that. Proteins also help to fight diseases, and they help to build and repair body tissue like our muscles. Now, where do we see proteins? Okay, we can see proteins in our bodies, obviously, but we can also get them from our food and other organisms. Enzymes, like I said, is an example of a protein. But in terms of our food, we can get proteins in fish, in meat, okay, legumes, which are like beans, peas, and peanuts, and then eggs. So proteins are very, very important for us. We make them in our bodies, but you can also get them from our food. The next and the final macromolecule we're going to look at is nucleic acids. And if you see, nucleic acids have these atoms. Similar to the proteins, they have chons, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Okay, the difference is they have this P, which is phosphorus. Now, if I take these atoms and put them together and arrange them, okay, I can make one nucleotide. Remember, a monomer is just like one puzzle piece, and you put a bunch of puzzle pieces together to make a whole picture. And here we have one nucleotide, and I can see it's made up of those atoms. I see carbon here, I see hydrogens all around, I see oxygens, a bunch of nitrogens, and here's a phosphorus, okay? So if I put those atoms together in this arrangement, it makes a nucleotide. It's like one piece of a nucleic acid. Now, if I take one nucleotide and kind of put it together with another nucleotide and another nucleotide and another one, that will make one big nucleic acid. So this monomer, okay, has a similar sounding name to its macromolecule. So that's why it's going to be easy to remember that these two are linked together, okay, because nucleotide sounds a lot like nucleic acid. So remember the monomer that's called nucleotide is just like one puzzle piece, and you put a bunch of puzzle pieces together, a bunch of nucleotides together, you make a whole big picture. And in this case, the picture represents the nucleic acid. Now, why do we need nucleic acid? They help to store and pass genetic information. That means information about our traits, how our bodies work. Nucleic acids hold all that information, and they hold it in these structures called DNA and RNA. So like I said, it's really important. These nucleic acids are important for storing this type of information so that, you know, we can have information about our traits and how our bodies work, but also that these nucleic acids can be passed on to the offspring, to the kids, so that they can have genetic information as well. And here is just a picture. Here are two parents, their genetic information combined to make their offspring, their kid. So what are some examples of nucleic acids? DNA and RNA. These are just molecules that hold our important information. So let's take a look at one more question. Which atom is found in nucleic acids but not in proteins? So you should have picked phosphorus. Okay, proteins and nucleic acids both have carbon and nitrogen, but phosphorus is only seen in nucleic acids. So make sure you finish up your notes. You should have, as we were going over this, you should have been filling out your notes.